Welcome to Inside Texoma on this Sunday morning. I'm News Channel 6, Melissa Kakarika. Today we're taking an inside look at the Backdoor Theatre, one of the great theaters right here in Texoma. I'm joined by its artistic director, Michael Sherry.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well this morning. Well, tell us a little bit about Backdoor Theatre. How long has it even been around?
Backdoor Theatre has been around since the early 70s, and even before that, the late 60s. Bunch of actors from around town, and also including the Air Force Base, got together and just wanted to start doing shows and just kind of work on scripts and have fun and do what actors love to do. And one thing led to another, and they all got together over at the Weeks Mansion, which is located off of Harrison, that area. And one thing led to another, and they started forming this collective group of actors. And the funny thing was, the only way to get to the actual entrance to where they would all hang out and meet was through the back door of the Weeks Mansion, hence Backdoor Theatre. So that's how the whole name got together. And it was originally founded by Gare Brundage, Bob King, Bob Arnold, and Mark Whitlinger. And there's a couple of other names in there too, but those were like the original founding fathers that kind of were spearheading the whole movement. And one thing led to another, and they really started pushing and striving for greater performances. And they were taking their shows from not only just the Weeks Mansion, and actually they were taking it around town and throughout the actual Texoma region. So back in the 1970s, Backdoor Theatre always cared about their youth programs. And there was a man by the name of W. Earl White. And W. Earl White used to do shows for the summer youth at the United Methodist Church in town. And one thing led to another, and he decided that, well, Backdoor is growing, it's increasing its size of people, and we don't want to stay at the Weeks Mansion forever, because people actually were living in there. And actually, at one point, the top floor was nothing but shops above, and then everyone would just do stuff down below. I think if you overlook at the history, too, there was an Italian restaurant there at one point, and some other boutiques in there. But anyway, he always cared about the youth and education of youth, and he decided that there needs to be a home for the Summer Youth Musical. So he gave us the building of the People's Ice House, and saying that the Summer Youth will always have a home here at Backdoor Theatre. And that was it. That was how we pretty much came to be on the corner of 5th and Indiana. So
Been down there ever since.
Ever since then. Yeah, the People's Ice House, the plans for it were originally constructed, I think, in 1918. And they started construction around 1919. And then by 1920, 1922, came into full fruition. And at that point, it was a giant, giant, massive ice house. And it was really that giant tower that you see as you're passing through on 5th Street. And then I think by the 30s or 40s, it finally closed down. And it was just a vacant land. And it was either that or area by where the museum is now, downtown, further down on Indiana. And it was already a found building as opposed to building their own. So they decided to be unique with the space and build that theater. And what's interesting, too, is everything, if you ever go inside the theater, it's nothing but cork in the ceilings. And because that was the original installation. If you look all the way up top, there's a giant crane that they would use for the ice blocks, and they would take them out and move them over to the horse troughs. And people are always wondering, like, why is there so much weird stuff inside this theater? Well, it's because it's an ice house. It wasn't built for a theater. We just converted it to that. And it was cool because the original members, all of them, from Bob King to Gare, they all took the found material, the found lumber that was pre-existent in that building, and used that to create what we now have as Backdoor Theatre. That's a really interesting look. Recently, in 2014, we reconstructed our main stage. And as we were re-leveling and redecking part of that, we were finding lumber from 1920. And it was really interesting. We're like, whoa, that's a real 2x4, as opposed to normal-based lumber that you'd sometimes get. So that was really interesting. You're just archiving all this wonderful, wonderful amounts of knowledge and history there. So that's what we pretty much came to be down in 5th and Indiana.
I had no idea there was such a rich history. You guys should do a play about just how you came to be. I think you could get a play out of that. That's a lot.
I think so. I think so.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how it runs today, take it into the present, a little bit about what goes on at Backdoor Theatre.
Sure, sure. Backdoor Theatre, we got our nonprofit status as a community theater and an organization back in the 70s, around 76, and that's when we actually made the official move into the building. And it's really functioned as the People's Theater. And I think that's really cool that it was originally titled the People's Ice House and then given this whole subtitle of the People's Theater. Everyone through the community created this place, and they would come and go and leave, but they would always, it was the People's Theater. They were doing all these great things and writing shows. It wasn't just about regular playwrights and shows that were always in New York City. Bob Arnold was one of the writers, another man by the name of Kermit. His last name was Kermit, and he was a famous writer. And even Bob King, one of the founding fathers, used to write a lot of plays for Backdoor Theatre that they would perform. So it wasn't just bringing in outside work, it was a lot of original works that the people of Wichita Falls were creating and giving out to the public as well. And nowadays, we still operate under that function where we exist mainly on volunteers with a small staff right there, but really it's cool that we have such a vibrant amount of community members that help support the theater.
And really, anyone can audition for the plays, right?
Anyone, anytime. Sometimes we do age restrictions depending on the content for the show, and we actually try to isolate, too, the Summer Youth Musical because it is something that's really special and near and dear to the founding of Backdoor. And that's always exists, that junior high to high school age range, just because we want to have something specific just for the youth so they can learn and they can grow. And since then, we've also added in 2 other education programs for our youth, which are summer kids camps. And that happened way before even Mike Sherry was in the picture at Backdoor Theatre. So sometime probably in the 80s, there was a creation of our summer kids camp. And it was a great way for children to come for about 4 weeks at a session to come and learn about theater, whether it be backstage work or singing and dancing or how to even make a light turn on and how to focus all the lights. I mean, you go inside a studio like this or even a regular theater and there's thousands and thousands of these lighting instruments and these cool things that are happening, and sometimes the kid doesn't always want to get up and sing and go, ah. They want to actually do other, there's more to theater than just that, and that's what we try to provide with that. And since then, we've been going strong, and right now we're currently in our 2nd session for our age group of 7 to 11, and they're doing Through the Looking Glass, so it's Alice in Wonderland story.
And you guys really do quite a few plays a year, really, across the board.
We do. But yes, we do offer our 2nd season, our Backdoor Theatre special shows, and that actually gives the actors a chance to really sink their teeth into some really interesting text and some really unique plays. Sometimes there's shows that have great appeal to the public, like your Rodgers and Hammerstein shows that everyone knows and loves, and sometimes there's those lesser-known works that are really good experimental theater works. Sometimes you might see, if you were going to New York, it'd be the ones all the way down the East Village or those off-Broadway productions. And we try to offer a variety of that to see for our patrons that want to see shows that are off the beaten path, and even our actors give them a chance to really sink their teeth into something new.
Yeah, so something for the actors and for the public. Just a great venue here in our community.
Yep. Last year we offered a 2nd season or a Backdoor special of doing Last 5 Years. It's a show by Jason Robert Brown. It's a lesser-known piece of work. A lot of people in the arts industries may know it or not. It's a great, great piece of literature. Jason Robert Brown really takes the time to take 2 different stories and make them work in reverse order. The story of the main female is going in backwards order, and the story of the man is going in regular order. So, and they kind of center around a clockwork. So she's going backwards in time and he's going forward in time. And it's, once again, it gives our theater actors a chance to really sink their teeth into something new. This year we're also offering Always Patsy Cline. And that kind of came as there was a lot of requests for that. And Elizabeth Spear, who's the community renowned favorite to play that role, is reviving that role and reviving the show later on in August for that. So.
We're going to talk a lot more about that and some of the other shows that are coming up, because there is a lot more on the schedule this year when we come back. Welcome back to Inside Texoma on this Sunday morning. I'm joined once again by Michael Sherry, the Artistic Director over at Backdoor Theatre. Good morning once again.
Good morning again.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Backdoor Theatre and how it came to be, but everybody goes to see your plays and musicals, so let's talk about what they can actually see there right now. I know there is a new play opening in August.
Yes, Always Patsy Cline, starring Debbie Barrow and the one, the only Elizabeth Spear. And this lady has done this show, I think, three times at Backdoor Theatre, and she brings in her band, and she's reviving the show yet again, and it's just a great, great show. If you like country music, if you like a good story, if you like that feel-good feeling of theater and community, it's a great show for that. So,
tell us a little bit about the plot.
Sure. There's a main character, there's a main fan, and she's obsessed with Patsy Cline, and through her conversations, you get to see Patsy Cline coming through the plot. And it's pretty much she's telling the story of Patsy Cline's life.
Okay.
And at one point, there's one interaction that Patsy Cline has with the main fan. And it's interesting because it's one of these stories are told in polar opposites. You have the main fan on one side of the stage and Patsy Cline on the other, and they're kind of just, you never see them connect except for one moment where Patsy Cline spends the evening with the fan. And it's really, really a great story. And if you like music, if you like good acting, this is a show for everyone to see. So.
Absolutely. It's kind of one of those lesser-known ones you're talking about before.
It's a lesser-known. It's not like a Oklahoma or a South Pacific kind of a show, but it's a good show. What's great for this community and this environment is if you're in Texas and you don't know who Patsy Cline is. I mean, I'm a Yankee and I even know who Patsy Cline is, so that's the thing to think about. And it's good for the whole family. Sometimes we do shows that may be steering to a different genre and different age group or a different liking for shows. And this one really is fun for the whole family to come and see. And what's really cool with this, we're offering dinner on the dinner stage, and this show's going to be on the main stage. So we're actually trying to work a way to have dinner and the show, whether it not just be just a strictly dinner stage show. Many of our patrons always know that Backdoor Theatre, we always had the main stage. That was 1976, and in 1981, there was a designer named Mike Maloney, and he and Bob King decided to construct what we now have as our current dinner stage. And it works really well for some shows, but to try to get more audiences in, there's only 106 seating at most on the dinner stage, where we have 160 seating on our main stage. So we're still trying to offer the community dinner and a show, so it's actually a full evening of entertainment, not just show only.
Okay, good. Now that opens August 6th, is that correct?
August 6th, yes, and it runs the whole entire month of August.
So lots of chances to
Lots
get out
of
and
chances
see
to
it.
go see it. So
Now they normally run, what is it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I know after that you have another big production coming up.
Huge production. Last year, we took a poll of the community to ask them what they want to see at Backdoor Theatre. And you've asked for it, you got it, Texoma. We are doing Rent.
That is going to be so popular.
So it's going to be
good.
a huge, huge hit. We're really excited for it. I remember when I was still living back in New York, I was able to see most of the original cast, and I think I saw it in like 98. So the show opened in 96, or won the 1996 Tony Award. And then, yeah, I saw it in 98, and it was just, wow. It was larger than life, this show. And what's really unique about it was a show that was written for people, not just of the 90s, but people of a younger generation, and truly hearing their voice. Sometimes you have shows that really speak to specific groups of people, but I feel this one really speaks to a younger generation, but it really shows, even though it was written in the 90s, it still works today.
Yes.
It's still about what we have to struggle and what we have to strive for as people, and it's interesting because Rent really has a whole bunch of meanings to it. It's not just, oh, we're going to pay rent. My house is due right now. And you can take it in different contexts too. You can rent things that you own and possessions that you really care about, but at one point it's only temporary. It's not an actual true ownership. And another meaning for Rent too is the meaning of torn, and that was actually not Jason Robert Brown. Cut that. 3, 2, 1. Another meaning of it is torn. And Jonathan Larson, who's the main composer behind the whole entire piece, that was his favorite meaning of the show, because torn really affects how it is. Something that's there, something that you have that's a solid piece, and all of a sudden it just gets ripped from you. And all the characters, their relationships, their lives, their stories, all at one point start as whole, and then at one point you just see it tear and crumble, and then how they survive from that. And I think nowadays, too, we're living in a society, for a younger generation, at least how my whole group of friends and this feeling is, we didn't have the setup as some of our parents or our grandparents did before us. And you find more younger people living on this paycheck to paycheck lifestyle and the living in the now. And yes, it is important to save for the future, and it is important to care about what tomorrow and future years may bring you. But at the same point, though, for those of us who work so hard through the livelong day, it's also about celebrating that specific moment and really appreciating life when you still have it, and not just 20 years from now when I can retire. It's really about, and there's a great lyric in the show, "No day but today." And I think that really encapsulates the whole entire show. What really this is what it's about. We're renting it for this moment, and we have it right now.
That's probably why people want to see it. Now, auditions are coming up, so you can be a part of Rent.
Yes, everyone in Texoma can be a part of Rent if you're over 18, just because of the content matter. But it's a great show. We're opening up to the whole entire community to come out and audition for it. No experience required whatsoever. It's ages 18 and up. And what we're doing something unique. Normally, we do a show where you take a cut from the actual show and you'll sing that. Well, yeah, we're still doing that as part of the audition process, but this time we want to see what the community really has to offer in their musical ability. And we're asking people to bring in any song of their own choosing, as long as it's in the style of the show. So it can be we're looking for pop rock songs. We're looking for normal, everyday songs that you're sitting in the car and I just jam out to this one song. That's what we want to see. We really want to see people in their real, true comfort zone, connecting to these songs, connecting to this music, and bringing that forward. That's the first part of the auditions. And then you'll sing a section of Seasons of Love, along with other cuts from the actual show. So it's a huge process that we're going to do, but it's really, we want to see people be comfortable. We really want to see people connect to the music because the music is such a huge part of the storytelling for this particular production.
So when are the auditions?
Auditions will be the first weekend of August, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. That whole first weekend right there.
And then the show is October, correct?
October. We're kind of starting this whole new thing where we call it Rocktober at Backdoor Theatre. Mainly for this show and hopefully a show that we're going to be doing in 2016. But October is our lineup for this show. It'll run from October 16th and go all the way through till November 8th.
All right, and then a couple more to finish out the year, correct? Yep. Over the River and Through the Woods?
Over the River and Through the Woods is a great show about family, food, and fun. It's about a boy from New Jersey who's leaving home for the first time. He had a job offer to go up to Seattle and further his career. And his family really doesn't feel too strongly about that. If you've ever seen the movie Moonstruck, if you ever saw the movie While You Were Sleeping, it's a great kind of collaboration of those two films only put in normal day life. And it's a huge Italian-American family that's living together, and the boy comes home and all the grandparents get together and like, why are you leaving us? You can't leave us. And they're trying to guilt him into staying. They bring another girl who is one of his high school sweethearts. They bring her into the picture as well, trying to keep him to stay. And you'll have to come to the show to find out more about it. But
December
it's a
3rd.
great show. It's our Christmas show. So.
And then A Very Sherry New Year. I guess that one has a lot to do with you.
Yeah. About 3 years ago, they were looking for a New Year's show to do. And Backdoor Theatre has a history of always doing something huge on New Year's, whether it be big karaoke night or one time there was magic and there was an Elvis impersonator. And actually the credit goes to Mrs. Sherry on this one. And she decided to go to the ED at that time and ask them if we could do something special and do songs from the American Songbook. All those great standards that Frank Sinatra sings, Linda Ronstadt, and Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., the Rat Pack songs, things like that people don't always get to sing and people don't always get to hear. And we turn the Backdoor Theatre into this kind of lizard lounge feel after we do a regular production of the regular show in the season, but then we also offer a double whammy with the Very Sherry New Year. So it's a whole entire song cycle of the Great American Songbook, as well as a little bit of singing and dancing and some really fun comedy routines as well.
So busy schedule there. Yep. They all sound great. I know I'm excited, and I think everyone's excited for Rent.
It's going to be a great show, and it's going to be a really fun piece to work with the actors on and really connect to something new.
I think the audience will be singing along. A lot of popular songs there.
I think so.
Well, we're going to talk a whole lot more about the future of Backdoor Theatre, maybe even preview 2016. We'll see. We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Texoma on this Sunday morning. I'm Melissa Kakarika, joined by the artistic director of Backdoor Theatre, Michael Sherry.
Hello again.
We've been talking so much about Backdoor Theatre and everything that you have going on. You always have a ton going on. You're already looking ahead to the future, though.
Yep.
What's in store?
Well, what's in store is we're looking at doing a full night of improv at Backdoor Theatre, kind of a Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, fun.
And we're going to do a Whose Line Is It Anyway Backdoor edition. Mm-hmm. And we've already started improv groups right now. And it's a great experience for actors that maybe just don't want to even memorize a script, but they just want to get up on stage and have fun. And it's even better for people that are actors that want to work on their comedic time and work on those chops for that. So it's an education process, but it's also a time just for people to have fun at the theater, not worry about rehearsals, not worry about tickets, not worry about what a review's going to say. Just get up there and have some good old-fashioned fun and be creative.
Absolutely.
That's really what it's really all about. So.
Great. And then I know you guys are probably already thinking about those 2016 shows, right?
2016 shows as well. We have some interesting stuff planned ahead for our youth shows. We're actually even thinking about adding a whole youth education program that's all year round. Normally we have our summer shows, but we're really trying to create a whole children's theater that feeds into the rest of Backdoor as well, kind of like a children's theater troupe.
Okay.
That kids will come after school and really learn the basics and fundamentals of theater. And once again, not just singing and dancing, but also how does the light turn on? How do you actually stage manage? How to build sets? How to build scenery? So we're actually creating this whole entire education, like our mini college, so to speak, at Backdoor Theatre, Backdoor Theatre University.
Oh, there you go.
So
you can get a degree.
It's going to be a really interesting outlook. But once again, it's really trying to provide education that's not offered anymore within the community, because so many times arts funding does get cut.
Yes.
And if we find the people that are willing and dedicated to do this, then we really have a chance to give something that I was at least lucky to have and fortunate to have. But now our youth nowadays, they're not being offered that. So it's a really cool experience that we're going to be offering to them.
Absolutely.
And that's being all done by volunteer work right now. That's really the kind of the blood of Backdoor Theatre. It's the life source that we have. Our volunteers, from those that create our programs, to those that do our designs, our logos, to building our billboards, to those who sometimes direct stage manage, from building our scenery to painting our sets to doing our lighting. Even the actors on stage, it's all volunteer work. And if we didn't have that, I don't even know how we would survive. But since before the early 70s, if not beforehand, Backdoor Theatre, I mean, every time we've gotten knocked down, but we keep coming up again. It's really because of the people. And if we didn't have them, I don't know where we would be. I don't know where I'd be. 2 years ago, when I first took over the job, it was pretty prickly at points. And if it weren't for the help of the volunteers, really, that ensures our survival there. So we're really grateful for all their work and what they continue to do.
Always looking for new volunteers.
Always looking for
actors.
new volunteers. There's always, whether you just come down to the theater and meet me or any of the box office gang, or you call us or go online, there's ways to always get involved at Backdoor Theatre, and we're always taking help. And we just want to people to give to us so we can give back to them all the great experience that we have at that theater and share that with other volunteers.
Now, I know there are a lot of ways to connect with you guys. You have a website, right?
Yes, we have a website, www.backdoortheatre.org. Some people say it's the English spelling of the European. We call it the real way, how to spell it, though. But there's that, and then you could also, that's our website.org, or you could just call us up or just come on down to the theater. You can get tickets that way, too, by the website, or even also via Facebook as well, and just come on down to the theater, too.
All right, now what's your vision for the future as you kind of look ahead?
The vision for the theater is really connecting with the people and doing some other outreach programs and connecting with other organizations throughout the community as well. And I think collaboration in that aspect is key to survival for any arts organization, as well as our theater as well. If we just limit to what we have in that just one space, then we're always going to be there. But if we start outreaching to other branches of the community, whether it be working with other groups or really just let's do a show here for this home, or let's do a show for these underprivileged kids, or let's bring the kids that maybe there's not enough space there, let's bring them down to the theater and do a show. Let's really connect with that and give the community something more. And it's really that Backdoor Theatre, it's more than just entertainment. It's an experience, it's a feeling, it's a connectivity that we share. And it's really about, that's what the future I think is going to be for Backdoor Theatre, increasing our education and offering something more than just shows, and really bringing us to the community, or bringing the community inside us. And more than just Texoma, really there's great areas throughout Lower South and the Dallas area, and there's other ways to connect. There's a great organization called TNT, Texas Nonprofit Theaters, and we're part of that organization, and they do so many great things for other community theaters throughout the country and throughout the state of Texas. And connecting with them, going to further competitions, and really just bringing everything into this whole entire ecosystem of theater that we're going to try to create. So,
well, it's a great vision. I don't think anyone can argue with that.
No.
And of course, putting on great shows.
Putting on great shows, yes. So 2016 has a great couple of shows ahead. Some of you may have guessed some already, but we have one, as I mentioned before, we are doing Rent this year as Rocktober. And it's only to announce that next year we actually have become the second theater in the state of Texas, and I believe 10th or 12th now at this point, in the whole entire country of community theaters to get the rights for Rock of Ages, the musical.
Yay.
So Backdoor Theater next October, Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great show. And it's a fantastic, fantastic cast. It's real, and that's going to be getting the whole entire community involved in such an epic, fantastic, rockalicious production right there. So
That's going to be another fun one. You heard it here on Inside
Yep.
Texoma.
so there we go.
Well, thank you, Michael, for giving us that look into
Thank you.
the present and, of course, the future. I know there's
Yes.
a lot of great stuff going on over there.
It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great season. It's going to be a great future at Backdoor.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you for
Thank you.
tuning in to Inside Texoma this morning.